Welcome to our very first Instagram Live of 2025. Happy New Year. We are so excited to talk to you guys today. Kelley is going to be joining me in just a minute, but today we are chatting through 6 signs that you are ready to diversify your revenue in 2025. If you guys have been hanging out with us at the Level Up Co., whether that be on Facebook or Instagram or on the podcast, you'll know that that is the theme of January is diversification. And a lot of you might be wondering, am I ready to diversify my income beyond just doing weddings? So Kelley and I are going to chat through the 6 signs that you are actually indeed ready to diversify in 2025.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. I'm so excited for today's topic. I've been literally counting down the day to today so that we can talk to everyone who's going to come live with us and talk about just uncovering these 6 signs that you're ready to diversify as a wedding creative, specifically as a videographer, as a photographer, but not just that, not just limiting it to them. We're looking at florists, we're talking to planners, we're talking to content creators, we're talking to so many people. So we have a good group here. If you are live with us, please type in and tell us where you're joining us from. We love to see where everyone is throughout the country. We have North Park Film saying that he's excited to start the course, which you may have known that we pre-sold a course specifically for diversification. But Taylor, today, let's just dive right in. I love to be able to give people value right off the bat, and we have a lot to share with them today.
We have so much to share. Actually, I want to give just one quick little pep talk to those of you who are watching, because I feel like sometimes we can feel almost discouraged before we even start. And so there's just a few points that I want to make sure we talk about. You guys, if you have noticed, us at Level Up, we're not a huge brand. We only have 4,000 followers or something, and we were profitable back in the day when we only had 1,000 or 2,000 followers. So you do not need to have a huge Instagram following or following on any social media platform in order to be profitable. And I think that's a very common misconception. And I think another misconception is that you need to have been in the industry for an obscene amount of time, at least a decade. Yeah. And that's also not the case.
No, absolutely not the case. So I'm joining you guys from my Let's account, which is actually really cool that I'm joining over on this one because it was my very first step into diversification and creating digital products. And that was a dream that I had back in 2019. So it was, it's almost a 5-year-old brand now, but I started on that journey because it's one of our points on when you're ready, but I was just looking for ways to stretch my creative muscles outside of weddings.
Yeah. And it's paid off so much. I feel like sometimes just diving in and getting going is half the battle, and you kind of figure it out along the way. Or you can figure out with us and we can teach you all of our strategies and things that have worked for us. Okay. So we don't want to keep you guys waiting. We're going to get into the 6 signs that you as an individual are ready to diversify here in 2025.
Yes.
And the very first one is simply that you may have knowledge or a skill that you want to share with others. And this doesn't have to be super groundbreaking or something so unique that nobody else is talking about. It's just something that you do well.
Yes, it's so true. I mean, think back to year 1 in business. We all started in year 1, right? We experienced our very first year in business. And think about all the things that we all know now. Even if you're in year 3, even if you're in year 5, 10, whatever it is, you have more knowledge than you really think to be able to share with others. And that's really, really powerful. And it's really cool to also give back to the community for those newcomers that are entering into their year 1, entering into their year 3, and helping them, really scale like you did. And so over here, and we're big on transparency here in Level Up Co. We're big on not gatekeeping. And that's why we're here to show you our proven methods on how to diversify too in this upcoming workshop.
Yes, we love full transparency. I think I just turned a filter on somehow, but I don't know how to get it off. Sorry. I'm swiping text messages away because they are covering the screen. But if you hop on over to the levelupco.com/blueprint, you can sign up for a free training we're hosting and also take a peek at our numbers, what we actually made in our diversified revenue streams in 2024. And I think that will be very eye-opening for you as far as what the possibilities are, because Kelley and I talk about this a lot on the podcast with our students and actually just like on the phone with each other privately, is that a lot of people really underestimate what you can achieve with your diversified revenue streams. People think that sometimes it's just a couple extra $100 a month or something like that, but it can honestly far surpass your primary wedding brand, which is insane and so exciting. And it's cool, especially since I think that the opportunities are endless. Literally anybody can do this. We all have something to offer the world. So it's just a matter of uncovering what that thing is for you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the second sign. So the second sign is if you have time in your work week, or if you are in an area of the country that encounters a really heavy, slow, or off season. This puts you in the best position to be able to diversify, to get you through those off seasons where maybe you experience a little bit of famine in your business because you're kind of relying on your savings account, or you're just relying on wedding bookings. Even here in Southern California, Paul and I experienced kind of those famine seasons. Even though weddings can happen year round here in Southern California, that doesn't mean that they always do. And there really is just a built-in season, which is like kind of from April to November a little bit. But then there's a solid 4 months where things are pretty quiet. And when we dipped into commercial corporate work, that's when we were able to make big moves revenue-wise and be able to like scale our savings account so that we can move into more investments. And it was just like this beautiful juxtaposition of what was available to us when we realized, hey, let's do something with our off time. Let's do something with these work days, these work weeks, where like, yes, we were at home editing here and there, but we honestly had more time than we thought. And we used that time to diversify and bring in more income. So if that's you and you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I do kind of twiddle my thumbs for, a few months out of the year, turn that into something that's profitable for you.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it can go even a little bit farther. So obviously, the primary message of our brand is to help wedding photographers and filmmakers enter the luxury market. Usually what happens is you scale back on the quantity of weddings that you're booking because you're charging much more. And so you simply don't have to book as many as you did when you were charging $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? So maybe you go from shooting 20 weddings a year down to 12 or even 10 weddings a year, and you just freed up all of that time. And instead of, you can just kind of hang out and relax, I guess. But if you have that spark of entrepreneurship in you and you want to maximize your income, like why not take that time you were already spending working on something else and now dump that into an additional revenue stream? Like I do think most of us have more time on our hands than we give ourselves credit for. And we like to see people maximize that time. So yeah, if you have time, you should do it. Yeah. Okay, heading into number 3, I like this pace that we're keeping up here, Kelley. So number 3 is if you've developed doesn't matter what it is, but some process, skill, or if you've achieved something that others have been asking you about. This is actually how Level Up was born. I was getting business related questions when it came to wedding videography because a lot of people do fall into the side of things where they're more so artists and less inclined to be business owners in the beginning. And so I'm opposite. I'm more of a business owner with a creative spark. And so I was able to help people. And then I realized, oh, this can be a brand. This can be something. And I think so many of us have that. Like for you, Kelley, with Illume, like your color grading was just incredible. And you were getting people asking, landing in your inbox, asking for help.
Yes. So a lot of times the cool thing is that if you're trying to figure out you're like, okay, I know I want to diversify in 2025. I don't know where to get started. Sometimes it's those outside eyes, not just you trying to reflect inwardly on what would help. Look at outside of you. Like Taylor said, people were coming to her for something specific. People were waiting. And that's when I kind of decided like, hey, I can actually make this something as a resource to people, and I can also be profitable in this too. And I think even I don't know, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's some hesitations of like where people are like, well, I feel like I don't have a big enough audience. Well, you don't need a big enough audience. Level Up was very profitable from the very beginning with a small size audience, 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, and you just have to get started. And then the other concept is people are like, well, you know what, money's kind of tight right now. I don't have a lot of money to dump in a whole new brand or whole new type of revenue stream. And I got to be honest with you guys, Level Up, if I'm remembering back correctly, it was definitely less than $1,000 that I invested of my own money. And I think it was like $700 that I paid to like get a website off the ground and just like bootstrap tactics that Taylor and I can really teach you along the way. And now Illume has generated over 6 figures since it first launched. And so it doesn't have to take a lot of money, right? And Taylor and I, we are kind of like the queen of scrappy. And we even had a question too in the DMs of like, how are you like spending like your marketing dollars and like how are you building out a team? And I'm like, we have very low overhead here on Level Up. We have just formulated systems and processes that truly work, and that's why we're so excited to bring them to you in 2025.
Yeah, Kelley and I do literally everything ourselves except edit our podcast. For that, we can thank Cassie Hyatt. Thank you so much, Cassie. But literally everything else you see from us is us doing it. So you don't need a huge team and you don't have to spend tons of money. It can really come to fruition all on your own. Okay, here's one that I think most people are going to be nodding their heads at with us, and that is if you're feeling some sort of burnout from weddings, or you just feel that itch to scratch a creative or that itch to scratch in a creative muscle format. Wow, that came out not how I wanted it to sound. Something like that. Do we understand what I'm saying?
Yes. You have a creative itch, or you want to stretch yourself creatively. Yes.
Yeah, I combined those two things in one phrase. Whoops. Anyway, for me personally, like I talk about this a lot, but like I thrive in novelty. I love newness. I love creating different things and dreaming up different things and creating all the business plans, and like anything new just gets me really excited. And if you've been in the wedding industry as a filmmaker, photographer, whatever, for any amount of time, in and out of each wedding season, just doing the same thing year after year, like you may feel a little bit bored, like maybe just a tiny bit, like, or feeling like unsettled.
Yes. Well, that's the cool thing too. Okay. So as you guys know, and I would actually love for those listening, we have a lot of people joining us. Can you type in the comments what part of diversification interests you the most? Are you someone that wants to get more into corporate and commercial work, like video wise, like I have with Westmade Films? Do you want to learn how to get, kind of into selling more of a passive income through digital products or a semi-passive income in that way? Or do you feel like you have a skill or knowledge that you want to teach in an education format? So type in now in the comments, is it corporate and commercial work for you? That's like your number one. Is it digital products? That's something that like you're kind of interested in. Or is it education? Something that you want to launch out there. You want to sell a course. You want to run mentorships for people. You want to get into coaching. It's so helpful for us to kind of know too, as we move into this Q&A time in a bit, what we can lead with. So type in the comments what you guys are feeling you're most interested in. We got a lot of people say corporate commercial work when we did the pre-sale. And I feel like as a filmmaker and as a photographer, that's like a very easy transition to get into that way. So number 5, this one is near and dear to me because it was literally the reason why I started on this diversification, is because you want to free up more of your weekends. You don't want to be working 3 out of the 4 weekends a month or half of those weekends, and you want to get more weekends back, and you just want to kind of shift back to maybe more of that traditional Monday through Friday days. Corporate and commercial work really only go Monday through Friday. Taylor and I work on Level Up Monday through Friday. And so it allows us to be able to still pour into our primary luxury wedding brands on the weekends, do that editing and here and there, admin tasks during the week, but then we can also shift focus, and it keeps things really exciting too. Like it keeps us not feeling burnt out. And that's why like a lot of times in like year 5, so many of you guys have probably heard, we've said that like 5 years is like typically the burnout for a lot of like filmmakers and photographers, because the budget market just burns people out, right? You have to work too hard. The clients are really demanding. It's hard. You have to wear so many hats in the budget market. And I was there too. So I totally know what it's like. And so people would ask us kind of at that year 5, year 6, year 7, when they've kind of burned out, and they said, how are you still doing this? And I said very, very early on, I said, well, like we get to go and do corporate commercial work. And that kind of like breathes new life into us as artists, and then having that really great blend is just awesome. I just have loved it. It's been so great. And if you're a filmmaker sitting there and saying like, hey, but I just don't know how to get corporate commercial clients, like I can show you. And now our corporate commercial brand brings in almost 3 times more than our wedding brand does. So it's so highly profitable, so fulfilling, and it's really cool. But sometimes we'll just get stuck on not knowing the right avenue to take. And so we can teach you because we spent a lot of years trying to figure it out.
Yes, and it's really cool. So we do have a free training coming up. I don't think we've really like said that. I have pinned the comment though. So if you want to head on over to thelevelupco.com/blueprint, you can sign up and we'll teach you the strategies that we're kind of like teasing a little bit today on how to get started. And there is a formula to make sure it's profitable and sustainable. And it's not just something where you make a couple $1,000s and then it fizzles out, because that's not what we want from you. We really want it to be an income stream that can meet or surpass your weddings. That's the goal here. And who doesn't want that? So when it comes to corporate commercial, Kelley's got all of that covered. There is a proven way to attract certain clients, to go after certain clients and build that client base and to sell to them in a way that makes sense in the corporate world, which is so different from weddings. I'm learning so much from Kelley. And then on the flip side, in the educational world, obviously the way you market those things is very different from weddings as well. It's not just utilizing Instagram as an extension of your portfolio anymore. There's a whole other strategy that goes into it far outside of Instagram. Like it goes deep when it comes to bringing in enough people and enough of your audience members to be able to convert a certain percentage into buyers. And we dive deep into that in our course, The Revenue Multiplier, which is coming out in a few weeks too. But it's really cool to see kind of like the blend of these different types of businesses and what overlap they have and how we can speak to each individual kind, because the cool thing is Kelley and I do have direct experience in like a variety of ways to diversify, and we're not holding anything back. So we're really excited. We're just finishing up creating the course right now, so I'm like extra hyped on it. Finishing filming today. So
That's
all
cool.
right, let's tackle this. Number 6, we've got all of these done in 17 minutes. That is impressive.
I love it.
Number 6 is probably another one where most of us will be nodding our heads, and it's maybe you want to get off of the revenue roller coaster. That means it's that up and down, that months of a lot of income coming in, and then the months of crickets and no money coming in, and then maybe even dipping into your savings or going into debt. We want to end that. We want to create a sustainable system where money is flowing into your bank account month after month after month with no slow season in sight beyond your weddings. So this is going to even out the roller coaster. No more hills. Yeah. It's a flat runway.
Yes. You want to be on like, that flat runway instead of that roller coaster, because Paul and I've said it a lot on the podcast, and if you don't know, Paul and I are just entrepreneurs through and through. No one's a W-2 employee. We had to generate a system for generating income that was dependable for ourselves. So we had to do all that too. And maybe you're sitting here on this live with us and you're like nodding your head like, yeah, that's me too. Like I am just an entrepreneur. It is on me, or it's on me and my husband if you're a husband and wife team, or it's just on my husband or whoever it is to bring in all of that money and generate that income. It can be stressful. Like I've been doing this for 14 years and it can be the wild, wild west out there, and you can hit dry spells in bookings. And there has been scary times early in my career, probably year 4, where I remember going 4 months without shooting a wedding and 4 months without booking a wedding. And like, it was like very scary and devastating to our financial situation. And we actually just went through a little bit of a booking dry spell this past fall. And I was so thankful that I had these systems of diversification in place because I wasn't stressed. Like it was okay and it wasn't devastating, and we could still build our savings and, reach our goals that we have for next year and for 2026. And so that's what we want for you too. We don't need to be starving artists in this industry. We can really, get in the driver's seat and make sure that income is more of a sure thing. And we can finally get off that revenue roller coaster that can be kind of scary and really frustrating.
Yeah. extremely frustrating. And it's unfortunately just the nature of the wedding industry. Like, there's no way to get around it, honestly. I wish there was, but the way to get around it is by diversifying your revenue in this way. So I'm sure a lot of us are feeling very inspired to go take action, but I do want to give you a quick pause. Word to the wise, we do not recommend just going on over to your primary Instagram account right now and posting a series of stories promoting this new venture that you just dreamt up in the last 10 minutes. That's not what we want. That is not going to get you results. We have tried, trust us. Instead, it actually does take strategy, dare I say.
Yeah.
Kelley and I have developed a strategy that has worked time and again with our businesses and continues to work multiple years into our businesses. And we just keep doing the same thing over and over because we've found something that we can kind of rinse and repeat. And so that's what we want to share with you. We don't want something that's going to be a flash in the pan where you put something out, maybe you get a few bites on it, and then it's crickets after that. We don't want something that's going to deteriorate the integrity of your primary wedding brand.
Yeah.
If you share too much of something not related to your primary brand, it can start to not be the best look, especially if you're pursuing the luxury space. Maybe the budget market, it can be more forgiving, but the luxury space is not. And we want all the hard work that you've put in over the last however many months or years building your business to where it is today. Like, we want to make sure that sustains its level of credibility in the market. So there's a whole different way to go about it that works.
Yeah. And I love that you said that too, because as a lot of us know who are here with us and our audience at the Level Up Code, our podcast listeners, they know that our main mission is to take your primary wedding business, take it from the mainstream market and into the luxury market. And this diversification concept that we are introducing within our orbit of Level Up Co, that mission is still deeply rooted in this. And that's why that we're teaching these certain practices and pulling you away from mistakes that we see others make in the industry that are deteriorating the integrity of their brand and maybe even cementing it a little bit further into the budget market or that lovely market. So there's a lot to learn. We have so much to share. I am just so excited for this free training coming up January 21st and 22nd. It's going to be a 1-hour free training. You can choose what time works best for your schedule. We're going to be teaching live. Definitely come live. Yes, there will be replays, but there's nothing like showing up live, like the energy in the room. And we have bonuses for you who come live. And like, yeah, just don't sell yourself short by like trying to catch the replay. If you can show up live, definitely do it.
Yeah, we're so excited. And again, this is something completely brand new. I know that we generally will do similar workshops a few times a year to make sure people who haven't been able to see it get a chance to see it. But this is something that we've never talked about before, and it is completely fresh. And so I think that's a great way to head into 2025 is with something fresh and new and a new perspective and a new set of objectives for the year. I think so many of us are sitting here with if you're like a pen to paper person with your planners out and you're like, what is going to be in store for 2025? What are my goals? And we want to put this on your goal list for this year is to diversify your revenue in one of those 3 categories. If you have not already, we would love to see you at that free training. It's at thelevelupco.com/blueprint. Or if you just type revenue in the comments, we can just send you the link. We'll take note of who comments in and we'll send it to you as soon as this live is over. No big deal. We would love to do that for you. Any last thoughts there, Kelley, before we end?
No. I'm so glad we did this live. I think that a lot of people don't realize that they have more to share with this wonderful industry than they give themselves credit for. And you have more time than you think. You have more resources than you really think. And with a proven step-by-step system that Taylor and I are going to share with you in just a couple of weeks, you're going to be well on your way to diversifying in just a really successful way, where we're so excited to see. Knowing like what we know ourselves now on what diversification is not only done for our families, for our household, but then also how much it has accelerated our primary wedding brands. Like that was something that I didn't even think was going to be like a hand in hand with each other. And it's if done the right way, in the right way that Taylor and I are going to be sharing with you, it can definitely accelerate. I will say, like in 2019, like I said, with Illum Lutz, the account that I'm joining you guys from, 2019 I was doing that. 2020 I launched it, and then in that time is when the diversification journey really took off. And I look back to how 618, my primary wedding brand, has been able to triple its prices, 3 and 4 times actually its prices. It all kind of went back to that time when I started it to diversify, and then I can book out of strategy. I don't have to book out of obligation anymore. I don't have to book out of that scarcity mindset. And it really just propelled my 618 Studios business forward. And I know that Taylor, you feel the same way about Taylor Petrinovich.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an absolute game changer. It's amazing, and it's such a great added benefit. Obviously, like we would love for you to simply just feel more fulfilled and make more money, but the fact that it helps the primary brand so much more is such an added bonus that we think is worth pursuing in itself, honestly. And if you're wanting to grow your primary business in 2025, 2026, maybe you've been wanting to get into the luxury market or even like the upper level market or just scale your business, but you keep having to book the same weddings at the same level because you need the income and you don't have the ability to risk, then diversification is a great way to remove the risk from your business so you can focus on growth and only booking the weddings that are going to serve you. Actually, little teaser, that's going to be the topic of our podcast episode next week. We had an hour-long discussion about this very thing, so it's a really good one. Make sure you tune into that one because we kind of give some insight on how diversifying our revenue helped our primary businesses, which is, again, very fun.
Very fun.
So, all
cool.
right.
What do we think, Taylor? We're going to end this one?
We're going to end it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. A lot of you joined in. Some of you chimed in the comments. Mr. Midnight Media said, you guys are awesome. Appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much. We hope to see you at our free training, and have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody.
All right. Bye, you guys.